I am fundamentally opposed to banning anything in life, especially a work of creation. Having been a former reporter and anchor in television, I can never bring myself to supporting a ban on a news program or any kind of broadcast. And yet, despite these convictions, after a long time, I found myself in agreement with the government's decision to ban the BBC two-episode documentary on the 2002 Gujarat riots and the so-called role of a Prime Minister in it. I want to tell you my strong reasons for supporting this ban. But let me at the outset say, this ban has nothing to do with censorship, as some individuals and agencies are trying to interpret it. Far from it. The real reasons for the ban are very different. And I wish the government had astute spokespersons who could clearly outline why the government went in for this measure. But effective communication on critical issues has always been a shortcoming of this government. Now, before I spell out the reasons why I think the government went in for this kind of a step, let me extend a warm welcome to all viewers of the CAA show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis, and my name is Juggi Bhasin. To watch this video podcast, press the big red subscriber button on your screen, and subscription is of course completely free. I will open my argument by giving you a provocative example. All of us, at least all right-thinking people on this planet, support a ban on child pornography. Nobody at that time talks of the rights of the video creator or the broadcasters who show or publish their devious stuff. And rightly so. But let us decode why we feel so strongly against this kind of literature or videocast. I have used the word devious. Child pornography offends our sensibilities in every possible manner. It is the brutal exploitation of children. It is a corruptible display of images, words, and sounds that is nauseous. It is socially unacceptable, and the violence inflicted in the making, the exploitative images produced, are not fit for human consumption. That is why we ban it. Now, don't fall off your seats when I tell you that documentaries like the one we are talking about tread more or less the same path. Yes, I know. There is this halo effect around the BBC's head that it televises fearless, incorruptible, and uncompromising journalism. But strip the broadcaster of this sheen and we will see this documentary for what it really is. This documentary pits people against people, community against community, under the ostensible garb that it shows how the minority community in Gujarat was attacked by saffron right-wing forces. It breathes life in a closed, long-gone, gruesome chapter in India's history. A chapter very effectively dealt by the judiciary in our country. The documentary resurrects and rekindles passions in the worst possible way. Its narrative, images, and deductions and conclusions are so one-sided, slanted, and provocative that it has already created an uproar in India, stirred up the worst possible communal divide, making some people seethe with rage. This documentary, like child pornography, is beastly in intent and showcasing. The images, sounds, and words are deeply provocative and unsettling. It is a kind of creation that is unfit to be watched in a drawing room with a family, and most of all, it triggers violence and intense polarization. Not to forget, It dog whistles the majority community as a bunch of marauders and killers hunting poor souls of the minority community. It is ostensibly directed against the current Prime Minister in this country, but its tone and intent is a savage attack on the Hindu community. In a nutshell, it evokes beastliness. And is that not the same emotion one would feel if one were to watch child porn? And so, ask yourself this question. Why should not this inflammatory, gruesome turd of a documentary not be banned? Another point on this broadcaster. Day after day, the BBC for the last so many months, in most of its lead stories on its world service, has been covering the Ukraine war. Forget about being objective and even-handed in covering the conflict. Every day they pile on images of death and destruction and dead bodies burning buildings. In my dictionary, this is called war porn. Every day, they provoke our sensibilities to nefarious means and ends. The same addiction to mayhem, gruesome death, and killings is seen in this documentary. As I said before, if we were to strip the BBC of its noblesse oblige facade and look within, we see the broadcaster for who they really are. And it is not a pretty sight. In the shadows are the white men and women of colonial mindset, playing their puppeteering games, using all the dirty, beastly tricks at their disposal to provoke communities and trigger unrest and violence, and watch the fun as things spin out of control. To ban or not to ban is no longer the question or the option in such cases. The government should not only curtail this beastly mischief firmly, but should with an iron hand go after the agent provocateurs, including this broadcaster, who exploit this issue for vested interests. And so on this note, I come to the end of this episode of the CAA show, and I hope you really enjoyed this particular episode. If you like our show, do subscribe to us, and on this note, it's goodbye and cheers from my end.